seconds left, y'all. Good morning, dear ones. Happy Sunday. My name is Colby Martin, and I'm one of the co-pastors here at Sojourn Grace Collective, and we are once again broadcasting live to you on Sunday mornings. And I know that early on in the quarantine, a lot of fanfare was going around about the docu-series, The Tiger King. And that's great. I'm really happy for those of you who participated in that. I have yet to watch it. I've found myself lately getting wrapped up in another docuseries that is in the midst of being unrolled every Sunday. And it is called The Last Dance, and it's a partnership between Netflix and ESPN. And The Last Dance is about the 1997-1998 Chicago Bulls championship season, what would amount to be their spoiler alert, their sixth championship season in 8 years. And if you know anything about that era, you know that it was Michael Jordan's era, the greatest basketball player of all time. And the coach was Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson is well known for not just being a brilliant basketball mind and having an incredible way to orient teams and has won, I think, more rings than anybody else. Somebody fact check me on that. But Phil Jackson, I was reading an article this week from one of his diary entries that he was tracking in this 97-98 season. Oh, I see some, we good? Okay, all right. And Phil Jackson was not only known for great basketball mind, but he was also known for his Zen approach to life. And he would oftentimes have his teams do meditations together. And you could argue that this is part of why Phil Jackson was such a successful coach, is he got his teams to sort of have this Zen attitude as they brought to basketball. And I was reading this article this week with this diary entry from Phil Jackson, and he was talking about the experience of being a coach in the NBA and how it took him traveling all over the country for most of the year and then even parts of the year all throughout the world. And he was reflecting in his diary about all of the losses, not basketball losses, but the personal losses of being a coach, of missing out on seeing these moments in his kids' lives and of missing out on these important milestones. And the real deep sense of loss of that was because of traveling for so long. And here's what Phil then wrote as he was reflecting sort of in real time about these losses as a result of all this travel. Phil said, and now I'm a coach, and I've missed some things that my kid did because of my job, but I can't hold on to that. In Zen, you have to give that up. You have to be here for what you can do at this moment. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And I read that on Saturday morning, and it just took me to another level that day as I realized, yes, we are experiencing a lot of losses. And we, as a community, we have mourned that and we have grieved that. And we've talked about it, and all that is good. And every once in a while, there's these moments that are drawing me back to, but I can't get caught up in that. What is lost is lost. What is behind us is behind us. And I do not know what the future, no one knows what the future is going to bring. This is the gift of manna in the Old Testament. You have enough for just this day. Give us this day our daily bread. You can't hold on to that, what is past. You don't know what the future is going to come. But this moment right here, right now, is what we have. And we have this moment, fortunately, together, even though it's through the interwebs. So I want to invite the band, Matthew and Ben and Karen, to come and to lead us in some songs this morning, and invite us to simply take a deep breath together and let it out. And to the extent that we are able, may we find ourselves present to this moment, not caught up in the past of what has been lost, not anxious about what the future and what might still come, but here and now. For this moment is all we have. This is our life. May we show up and be present today. Welcome.
Hi. Matthew's tuning, but he's here.
Good morning, friends. All right, we picked some songs about cool waters today because this is our wishful thinking for you and for us, and for San Diego. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, let's go down, come on. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down.
pray, studying about that good old way. And who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. And oh, fathers, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, children, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, children, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
Oh, the crowd goes wild.
Okay.
That startled me so bad. It's like, ooh, in the river, ooh. Oh, God.
Security, throw that fan out. Security.
Oh, goodness gracious. When you are tired, when you are alone, when peace is a river that's distant and cold, there in the missing, there on the wind, there like a promise, it's where you begin. Water and fire, quiet my soul, look to the mountains, be still and know all you need and all that you owe is water and fire, is heaven and home. When you are waiting, when you are alone, when joy is a fountain, weary to flow, there on the desert, there in the deep, there like a sacred dark secret to keep. Water and fire, quiet
time for story time with Kate and a very special guest today.
Everyone, a round of applause for today's very special guest, Huck Martin.
All right. Good morning, Sojo kids. I hope your parents have brought you in and that you can find a cozy spot in your living room or wherever your TV resides in your home. Or if you're crowded around a phone or an iPad, I brought a special guest with me to say hello this morning. Say hi to your friends.
Hi.
Welcome to Sojo Virtual Church. Your first time here, huh?
Yeah.
It's good to have you. Thanks for coming. It's on. Yeah, you're doing great, and you're holding it just right. Oh. Oh, you know what? I never unmuted myself. Is it now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? I've been saying all that, and you couldn't even hear me. I'm so sorry. I always forget to unmute this little mic attached to my face. So let me start again. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully your parents have brought you into the living room or you're cozied around an iPad in your bed. Either way, I brought a special guest to be with you this morning. Welcome, Huck.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so glad that you could be here with us this morning. This is your first time at Virtual Church?
Yep.
Yep, it's good to have you. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, I was wondering if you would share with our friends at home who are watching today. You know, we've all been going through this hard time of quarantine, and I feel like it helps sometimes to hear from another kid what their experience is like to help normalize your experience. So I was wondering, could you share with our friends at home what quarantine is like for you? Maybe start with, is there anything that you love about quarantine?
I get to stay home.
You love what about it?
Get to stay home.
You get to stay home. Why do you love staying home?
I don't know.
It's just your favorite place to be in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a homebody too. I love my home. Is there anything that you hate about quarantine? Just drives you crazy about quarantine? Makes you mad?
Not being able to go to parkour.
Not being able to go to parkour. That's hard, huh? Yep. Yep.
Hey, Huck, Audrey and Audrey and Addie, say hi. Say hi, Audrey and Addie.
Hi, Audrey and Addie.
Cool. Well, Huck and I thought that this morning we would just spend a little quick moment in some centering practice, some meditation, just to have a moment to be intentional about our week and feeling calm and feeling loved and grounded and ready to get through the next week of quarantine. So we're going to do 2 different meditation practices today, and they're real quick, but they're helpful. And so the first one is going to be all about the self. We're going to focus in on ourself, and we're going to make sure that we really take care of ourselves first before we send love and kindness out into the world. And that will be our second meditation, is sending love and kindness out. So first we start in, taking care of ourselves, making sure that we feel really loved and cared for and grounded, and then we'll take all that energy and we'll send it out into the world. So this first meditation, I'm going to use some items from our treasure box of knowing, and Huck's going to help me, and we're just going to take a moment to breathe and center and send ourselves all kinds of love. So starting out.
Breathing in, I see myself as a flower.
Breathing out, I feel fresh.
Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain.
Breathing out, I feel solid.
Breathing in, I see myself as still water.
Still water. Breathing out, I feel calm.
Breathing in, I see myself as a seed.
As a seed. Breathing out, I feel I have all I need to grow. So that's our centering prayer for ourselves, to feel all loved and kind to ourselves. And now we're going to send all that love and kindness that we just built up inside, we're going to send it out into the world. So here's our prayer for the world, and Huck is going to start this one too.
Breathing in, I see us all connected.
Breathing out, I send you love.
Breathing in, I see a world in harmony.
Breathing out, I pray for peace.
Breathing in, I see myself as your friend.
Breathing out, I pray for your comfort.
Breathing in, I see us as partners.
Breathing out, I pray for our cooperation. I pray we work together to make the world a better place. That's our prayer for you this morning, my friends. We love you. So good to be with you for a quick moment. You want to say bye to everybody?
Bye.
It's good to be with you today. Okay, you can hop down that way. Good job.
Okay. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but Huck, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, buddy. You just broke something open, okay? You just did a really, really good, beautiful thing for us, and we just really appreciate you, okay? Thank you so much. Now we have to sing a happy song. And when we do this song at Sojourn, I very frequently have to gently, kindly nudge y'all to get on your feet and do what the song's talking about, which is to dance just a little bit. So I can't see you today, so I'm not gonna know at what moment it is appropriate in the song for me to like nudge y'all. So I'm just telling you now, this is a dancing song, and you're in your living rooms, probably, maybe, at your homes, and it's okay. Like, you can get on your feet and join us in this dance, okay, you guys? So let's do it.
Bypass your.
Thank you. Holy Spirit, I need your touch more than, can't even sing. Oh Jesus, I need your love, and I'm desperate for Holy Spirit. I need your touch more than ever before. Oh Jesus, I need your love, and I'm desperate for more. When I feel your presence all around me, when I feel your arms as they surround me, yeah, yeah. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love. My feet will have to dance. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love, no, no, no. My heart will have to sing. Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, I need your touch more than ever before. Oh Jesus, I need your love, and I'm desperate for Holy Spirit. I need your touch, and I'm never before. Oh Jesus, I need your love, and I'm desperate for more. When I feel your presence all around me, when I feel your arms as they surround me, yeah, yeah, yeah. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love, no. My feet will have to dance. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love. My heart will have to sing. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love. Oh no, no, these feet will have cannot hide my love, oh no. And my heart will have to sing, well, your arms are too wide, your love is too strong. I cannot hide my soul. Your arms are too wide, your love is too strong. I cannot hide my soul. Your arms are too wide, your love is too strong. No, I cannot hide my soul. Your arms are too wide, your love is too strong. No, I cannot hide my soul. So when I feel your presence all around me, when I feel your arms as they surround me, I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love. My feet will have to dance. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love, no, no, no. My heart will have to sing. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love, oh no, no. And these feet will have to dance. I cannot hide my love, I cannot hide my love, oh no. My heart will have to sing, yeah. My heart will have to sing, my feet will have to dance. Oh, cannot hide my love, oh no. I cannot hide my love. Oh, I will have to sing. Holy Spirit, I need your touch more than ever before. Oh, Jesus, we need your love, and we're desperate for more.
I can't look at you because I can't catch that from you. It's contagious and
crying
things
happening in this room
happen,
right
and we
now.
all live in the same space all the time. I think something I've learned in the last 6 weeks or so is how often I forget that I am made of water and that I have a tide. And I think in this microcosm, weird, tiny space in which we are living, that tide of emotion is so present for me, where it's not how I'm doing today, it's how I'm doing this 5-minute period. And the next 5-minute period, the tide has gone back out and everything is dry. And the next 5 minutes, it floods back in, and I am overcome with love for everyone and the beauty of this. And the next 5 minutes, I'm right back in the desert in the panic. And I think what I want to say to you, who I love this morning, is that is normal. It is normal for you to be an ocean. It is normal for you to be a tide. And you can trust the waves to come in and come out when you can't get to the beach, which is hard for San Diego. You can trust those waves. You can close your eyes. You can see them. You can hear them. You can feel them. And that rhythm is in you. That water is in you. This moment is always this moment. And we're with you. We're with you in every bit of that flow. When all your hopes are shattered and you feel like your soul is a sea, your dreams don't seem to matter, your heart is
lost pilgrim. Built my home on fragile faith. I've been a victim and the villain, still a father to my children. Owner of a heart that's slow to change. Love anyway. Love anyway. When your world has gone to hell, no story left to tell. Love anyway.
Promises,
Truth and
consequence,
pride and tenderness,
all those failed attempts,
joy and happiness, joy and happiness, joy and happiness.
love anyway.
Love anyway. When your world has gone to hell, no story left to tell. Love anyway. When your world has gone to hell, no story left to tell. Love
Anyway.
All right. That was some killer music and space holding this morning. So beautiful. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for being here, for showing up with us.
Right?
Continuing to show up. It's continuing to blow our minds that you do so. And it's also just sustaining us. And I hope it's sustaining you through this as well. Otherwise, what are we doing? All right, so we are happy to be with you this morning, and we are also continuing in the series that we kicked off last week, Considering Faith together. Felt like a good time to do that. And this morning we're going to talk about swinging the pendulum of faith. We're going to swing that pendulum, or talk about it anyway. Before we get into that, I wanted to name that last week, if you were with us, you heard that we really wanted this to be a time of collective considering. We wanted it to be participatory. And so I have been reaching out to you and pulling teeth a little bit and really trying to coax those stories and thoughts of yours. And so many of you have been so generous with your faith essays. The ones that have poured into my inbox have just moved me and helped me, and they helped write this sermon today. And so throughout this message this morning, you will actually be hearing sprinkles of some of the quotes from some people's faith essays. And it's just a tiny little piece today of a few of your thoughts. But I have everyone's. I have this big, beautiful collection, and it's not too late. You can continue to send me those responses, and we'll bring your thoughts to the space as well. But today, throughout this message, you'll be hearing us quote some of you and use and share your thoughts as part of what shapes what we have to say. So thank you
Love that.
for that.
Love that. Yeah, so Kate and I we've been trying to process through what it means to be a person of faith, kind of just in general, and then more specifically a person of faith in community, all while in the midst of this global pandemic, these unprecedented times. And so we started a couple weeks ago kicking around thoughts of, like, I don't know, a series something titled Faith in the Time of Corona. And that was interesting to us for a hot minute, but soon we realized that this smaller, specific, this current moment that we're in, this quarantine pandemic moment that we're in, was actually inviting us to think about some of the larger and deeper questions about faith. So it's not so much about faith in the time of COVID, although it certainly includes that, but it's more like faith in the time of just being alive in this current world and this moment in history, this 21st century that we live in, with all of our technology and our global connectedness that has shrunk the world down. Never before in the history of what it means to be a Homo sapien, never before have we had such access to information. We have almost infinite and unlimited access to different belief systems, different ideas about the world. We can, and then not only do we have access to the beliefs, but then we have all the resources to analyze and critique and assess and compare all the different religions and religious structures and spiritual ideas about the world. We exist in a time with, for instance, vastly more awareness. So when I think about like 2020, I had to stop and think about what year it was. 2020.
That's fair. No one knows
That's
what
fair.
it is right
And however many sort of centuries you go back, if you were to push the whole timeline of Homo sapiens multiple hundreds and multiple thousands of years into the past, it's obvious to say that we live in a time where we have more awareness about the world and the universe than any time in history. I'm not saying we're wiser and smarter than any time in history. I'm saying we have more awareness and understanding and just information about the universe. We understand more than ever before how stars are born and what the universe and galaxies look like and how they behave. We have more understanding than humans have ever had about what it means to live and to die and the genetic code of what it means to be human. Quite literally, humans have never had more information at their fingertips than we do right now in this 21st century world that we live in. I was thinking about how for most of human history, people were born and they lived and they died relatively in the same exact area, surrounded by the same sorts of people and learning the same ideas about the world as their parents and their parents before them and their grandparents and their great-great-grandparents. For most of human history, the world was small, and all the ideas were pretty much shared and passed on, and you just believed what was generations had passed on before you, which meant that for most of human history, tens and hundreds of thousands of years, most of the history of the Homo sapien species, religion, religious ideas, all of that was culturally and geographically bound. Think about that for a minute. For the majority of what it meant to be human, ideas about religion, religious practices, it was culturally and geographically bound. So it meant that you simply, to be born into your tribe or your community, you just adopted the beliefs of your parents and your community, because how could you not? That quite literally was the set of information that you had to learn about what is true. So things such as, ideas such as, there's many different gods out there, but our tribe worships the best God. Or beliefs like, if you do this specific sacrifice, then you can expect these sorts of responses in the world. These ideas were as true as things such as, this plant is okay to eat, but this berry is poisonous. All of what it meant to be true was just bound to your geographic and cultural circle. It's really the only way that truth was made known to people. And again, I made this comment that it's not that our time now are smarter and wiser than ever before. No, there's always been humans. There's always been enlightened teachers, women and men who've been deep thinkers, who've critically analyzed what it means to be alive and what the world around us, what the purpose of life is. Those people have always been there. It's just that it happened, I would say, less often and to a smaller degree, just because the world was smaller and it had less access to other ideas and customs and questions and technology. So even if you might be one of the enlightened ones in your group and you started questioning and criticizing your tribe's beliefs about the gods, for instance, really your only other options were the extent of your own imagination, which you could conceive of outside of what your culture has ever conceived of, or maybe the few tribes or people next to you. You could adopt some of their ideas. But again, you were restricted in what you were able to think about in terms of religious beliefs and ideas. Whereas today, you can find near infinite resources on the internet with no shortage of ideas. So if you want to ask questions about your own beliefs, the world is your oyster to start exploring, both criticizing and critiquing your own ideas, as well as adopting and getting curious about other people's ideas. In fact, there was even a time, I don't know if you guys remember this, there was a time where there was like things called bookstores and libraries where you could walk into them with other people and there were shelves of books, whole sections designated to religion and spirituality. So if you wanted to get curious, yeah, remember those bookstores? If you wanted to get curious about things, you could do it. You could start asking those questions and start to have access to other ways of thinking about things. So even today, you could grow up in the most closed bubble, religiously speaking. The most sort of locked in system. Today, you could have your bubble of religiosity sealed around you for the majority of your life, and yet, at the same time, you live in a time where you have access to information that can allow you to get out of that bubble. My mind goes to Megan Phelps Roper. I don't know if you've heard of Megan Phelps Roper, but she was born and raised in the Westboro Baptist cult, hyper uber fundamentalist extreme version of Baptist Christianity. They're the ones that do the picket signs and people that have some really wild ideas. Megan Phelps Roper was born into that, raised in that, bought it hook, line, and sinker, was one of the main advocates for it. But because of Twitter, someone from a different religion, I think it was a young Jewish guy, just started asking just non-threatening, casual questions about Megan and about her religion. Started to get curious and have her start to sort of turn the microscope onto her own beliefs. And through Twitter and through the conversation with us, suddenly she began to let go of all the things that she believed and be able to get out of that system because she had access to all this sort of information and all these other ways of thinking about the world. And I just can't get over the fact that such a move like that, prior to this sort of moment in human history, has been virtually unfathomable. So yeah, on one hand, we're finding ourselves curious about the whole faith in the time of COVID, and that raises interesting questions. But more than that, we really want to dig into faith in general. And what it means to have faith, and what it means to be people of faith in this moment in our history. And like Kate said, we want to do that together, which is why our series is called Considering Faith, Finding Our Way Together. So today, we want to explore two different lexical categories of the concept of faith. We want to talk about faith as a noun and talk about faith as a verb.
Is it okay if I pull this closer?
That's fine.
Okay.
My only thinking was the farther it gets, the more it looks like we're looking at the people when we're looking at our notes.
Sorry, can't do it. Love y'all, but gotta look at the notes.
Next week, we're going to have 2 music stands with 2 notes. I'm just telling you, this thing is trending that way.
Oh my God. We talk about having faith and keeping faith and losing it. We do this because we focus on faith as a noun, something we have. Faith as a noun is the ideas and the feelings and the beliefs that we hold dear to us when we consider life's biggest questions. Faith as a noun is the container for those existential questions and answers. Our faith, whatever the particulars, from religious to agnostic to spiritual but not religious to no label at all, whatever the particulars, our faith as a noun is our framing of what moves us beyond surface level in life. There's not a person on earth who is actually superficial, even if they act like it. Everyone here on planet Earth is deeply curious about what it all means. That curiosity and our response to it, that's our faith. Sometimes this looks organized and structured, systematic, like creeds, doctrines, or church websites' What We Believe page. Many of us here in this space grew up with this experience of faith as a noun. We had it by committing it to memorization. In contrast, outside of these tightly organized structures of religion, faith as a noun is more intuitive, not so much something we have to study or be convinced of. It is a deep knowing inside of us. Either way, these insights we have about our connection to ourselves and to others and to any divine being are faith as a noun.
And then to speak of faith as a verb is to name how it functions. I like to talk about it as a sort of posture, a posture of openness and trust. It's this sense that the idea of transformation is possible. In fact, I love doing this. I love sort of tracing. By the way, I noticed that of that whole opening segment, all people wanted to talk about were bookstores as soon as I said bookstore. So I'm really glad you guys got really excited about that. That was so far the most popular thing that we've said was either lamenting bookstores or advocating for ordering from local bookstores. I love it. But I was thinking about this, the word faith. And if you go back to some of its, like the roots of where that word came from, specifically in the Greek, it comes from the Greek word pistis. And pistis is an interesting word because, yes, faith is one English word you can use to understand the concept of pistis, but another one, and maybe I would argue contextually sometimes a more accurate one, is the word trust. And trust implies this sort of dynamic response to a particular situation. So again, we're talking about faith as a noun and then faith as a verb, the way that it works in these two different, but as we'll see in a minute, related ways. So the idea of trust, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done a trust fall. I have not. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I've never participated in a trust fall. But a trust fall has two parts to it. You have the initial part where you're standing there and you have to have the belief that if you fall, it's going to be okay. That's sort of the faith, the trust as a noun. You own the belief that if I fall, someone's going to catch me. But it's not a complete trust fall until you do the action part, until you do the falling. You put your trust into action and you fall, and hopefully people catch you. For me, thinking about faith as a verb, this is what that means, where you have beliefs, yes, but also what it means to have faith is to have an action part to it, and I talk about it as a posture. Forgive me if this next metaphor, you've heard it too much this week, but one of the ways I like to talk about it is how
People are already bringing it up.
Are they already bringing it up? They're anticipating? Okay. Yes, so faith for me is kind of like how our cat, her name's Nala, she wanders around the house looking for the parts where the sun is shooting light in through the windows. Could be splashed across the floor, could be draped over the armchair of the couch. For me, it's kind of like how my cat wanders around constantly knowing there's a source of light out there, knowing there's a source of warmth out there. And she moves and opens herself up to warm her belly through the light. And then she might discover at some point that the light has moved and she's no longer in the light, and so she once again sort of takes that posture of openness and she moves to where the light might be. And there's some outside beeping truck noise going on that might be coming through. It's fine. But I think faith as a verb is kind of like that, this sort of openness. Yeah, there's something out there and we're constantly turning, adjusting, shifting toward it. I think about faith as a verb as being illustrated by the long tradition of spiritual practices. Spiritual practices in the Christian tradition, things like prayer, fasting, meditation, lectio divina, almsgiving, all of these are practices. They're things that you do. They've been developed over the years as a way to faith. They're a way of putting your faith in action, their way of faithing, if you will. So we're thinking about this, these two different lexical categories of faith, the noun and the verb. And for many people, and this has certainly been true of myself, many people have over-identified with faith in its noun sense. And I think a lot of this is just because this is how Christianity has been packaged and presented to us, that faith primarily is just the noun sense. And where that can get troublesome is that as you grow and as you start exploring all of the information that's at our fingertips and being exposed to all different ways to think about it and asking questions and getting curious about your own beliefs and curious about others' beliefs, suddenly your beliefs will inevitably shift. It will change. Some will fall away. Some will move into a different form of it. And if we over-identify faith with just its noun sense, then when those beliefs that make up our faith begin to dissolve or disappear, suddenly we're left with feeling like, oh man, I've lost my faith. Clearly, my faith just isn't what it used to be. And so what I've discovered is this importance of swinging the pendulum almost the entirely other direction. Almost neglecting faith as a noun altogether, being like, nope, faith is just a verb. It is the things that we do to keep ourselves open to trusting that light and love is out there. And I think that in many ways over these last 5 years of my own sort of spiritual life has been what has kind of kept me tethered to my spiritual heritage, is really just sort of moving away from thinking of faith as a noun and embracing faith as a verb. But I also think, and this was an interesting thought for me this week, I also think it happened subconsciously for me before I even had language to name it and was intentional about it. Here's what I mean. And I wonder if you can find yourself in what I'm about to say. When I think back to the seasons of my life where my beliefs were undergoing all sorts of shifts, my noun faith was undergoing radical alteration and depreciation. When I think about that, it's interesting for me to think about all the ways that I was still practicing my faith. In other words, without necessarily intending to do so, again, I wasn't conscious of it, I think my verb faith sustained me while my noun faith was in a state of rest. It's not dissimilar to how athletes, if they injure an arm or injure a leg, while they wait for that limb to recover, they will still, in rehabilitation, they will still work out and exercise with the other parts of their body that they can. And then interesting, I'm not going to follow this tangent, but then I was thinking it's even interesting how sometimes when athletes come back from injuries, their left arm is suddenly stronger than their right arm. But anyways, that's a different way that metaphor goes that I'm not going to chase today. But the point is you can see how when one part of you is dormant or injured, your noun faith might be injured as these beliefs you've realized have harmed you or you've used them to harm others. You're like, I got nothing over here to give. But your verb faith suddenly is still going. It's still active. It's kind of sustaining you. Some of my most intense deconstruction years were while I was in full-time ministry, leading people in worship every single Sunday morning, leading small groups and Bible studies throughout the week. And I can remember at times during those seasons having this nagging sense in the back of my mind of being like, am I just a fraud? Am I just a fake? Because my noun faith is, I don't even know what it is anymore. I'm still like doing these things, but I'm, for instance, leading people in songs with lyrics that I don't think I buy into anymore. Or leading Bible studies where in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, but honestly, if this were just me in my living room, there's no way I'd even be reading this. Or if I was, I wouldn't be talking about it in this way. And it just made me feel like I was a fake. And I do think that that is one legitimate interpretation of that. It is. So it's not unreasonable then to evaluate myself or some other person in that situation. And one way to frame that is, yes, you're a fake, you're a phony, you're practicing things that you don't believe. Okay. Yeah, I submit that that's one way to frame that. But I think it's not the only way to frame it. I think you don't actually have to frame it that way. You can, and it makes sense, it's understandable, but I don't know that you have to frame it like that. I think another, maybe more charitable interpretation of that sort of dynamic, a more charitable framing of that, is instead of thinking of myself as a phony for practicing religious rituals that I didn't really believe anymore, what if that was a season of my life where my noun faith was just needing rest, recovery. And so my verb faith was pulling the extra weight. What if it's the verb faith sometimes that has this sustaining, grounding effect that keeps us tethered to something even while our noun faith is in sort of free fall? One of our Sojourn community members responded to Kate's prompt like this, and she said, Susan, thank you. Susan wrote, I was in survival mode so much of my life. And I'm proud of my survival and my ability to use the tools at hand to do so. Some of those tools were my beliefs around God and my alternating between rejecting and embracing those beliefs. And so one interpretation of that, yeah, you could be like, oh, fraud, phony, you were going through the motions and you just didn't really have the beliefs. Another interpretation is, wow, isn't it kind of amazing that those rituals and those practices were there as a sort of this sustaining effect while the noun faith was uncertain? Maybe another way to bring this home is to think about the idea of love. And I think for many of us, we sort of intuitively, and especially if you were with Sojourn last year, we went through the All About Love series. But I think we understand that love also has these two lexical categories. Love as noun, the feelings that you have for someone, and love as verb, the intentional acts that you do of compassion and respect and care. And I think we can relate to experiences in our own lives where we do the loving acts, we do the verb love, even when, and maybe sometimes especially when the noun love is not there. We may not have the particular feelings at the moment of love and affection, but out of some sort of deeper tethering, anchoring reality, we still practice the verb love. So again, there's a version of that where someone could say, you're being phony, you're being fake, you're just pretending. Yeah, I guess that is one way to interpret that. But I do think there's another more charitable interpretation that allows us to think of the verb parts of it as this sort of sustaining when the noun part of it is in flux. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you're in the midst of, right now, or maybe you've gone through a season of real alteration, shifting of your noun faith, where your beliefs are kind of just all jumbled up, and yet you have still been, or maybe still are, going to church, singing the songs that you don't know if you believe anymore, participating in community. I want you to know that I completely understand if there are times where you feel like maybe you've just been pretending, and that can feel really icky. I totally get that. But for what it's worth, if it's helpful, I offer you a perspective that maybe this can actually be a really beautiful thing that you're doing or that you did during that season. Because I still think that showing up, whether it's in relationships where the feelings are injured or in spiritual practices when the beliefs are injured, I still think that showing up and engaging can be meaningful and good.
I love that. I love what you're saying about swinging the pendulum and how for you went so far to verb that you almost forgot noun altogether. I think that's so often what happens when we need to swing the pendulum. We need to swing it hard all the way the other way and just forget the other side for a while. And then transcend and include, where we swing back to the middle and find ourselves in that middle third way space with balance and integration. So yeah, I think when we grow up in any kind of fundamentalist religion or any kind of faith structure at all that teaches us that we have to believe the right things, otherwise we're out, then we develop an aversion to belief itself, to faith as a noun. Belief was used against us, and it's difficult for our brains to recognize even healthy beliefs and helpful beliefs as healthy or helpful, because our trauma simply registers belief as that thing that hurt us. When we're able to heal, we see that beliefs themselves aren't traumatic or harmful. And in fact, we can get to this place where we see that belief is good and important, and you can't escape having them anyway. We all believe something. And in fact, our beliefs are important because the noun and the verb are interrelated. What we believe is how we act. Mystic Thomas Merton talked about faith as insight transformed into action. And every great activist I know talks about the need to believe different things before we can change the world, like Angela Davis, who says we need to change minds as well as societies. There are beliefs that exclude, and there are beliefs that rally. There are beliefs that keep us in line and beliefs that inspire us. There are beliefs that stifle and beliefs that move us. Sojourner Susan says it this way: I am walking away from a fear-based faith and embracing a love-based faith. I love that. Beliefs themselves aren't inherently trauma and pain and bad. There's just different kinds. And Susan's walking away from a fear-based one and embracing a love-based one, which I think is what a lot of us are doing. Gretchen, also from Sojourn, contrasts these beliefs that are expansive with beliefs that are stifling like this. She says, my past definition of faith was one of fear, of rigidity, and following the rules, and conforming in order to be accepted, loved, and appreciated, and acting in order to always avoid repercussions, even if it didn't feel right. My current definition of faith is one of pure love. It is connecting to people, the world, life around us, and trusting that God is there without condition.
I love that.
If you go to our church's website and click on the About section, you will find what we believe statements, and some of them are as follows. We believe that you are valuable and enough. We believe you are the powerful creator of your own life. We believe you are not alone. We believe you are worthy, you are spirit, you are an artist. We believe you belong and have something to say. We believe you have good questions. We believe you are beautiful, loved, and have what it takes. We believe you have a purpose and your opinion matters. You are trustworthy and have something to teach. And we believe that those things are true for all. These are beliefs, and they lead us to opening and to trusting and to advocating and activating. These are beliefs about humanity and our connection that move us to meet every Sunday, to pick songs carefully and intentionally, to serve communion to all, to help with the Thanksgiving meal, to regularly visit the children's home in Mexico, to march in the Pride Parade. These are insights that transform into action. Here's what a few Sojourners say about that. Faith is that I can and must be a part of the solution to the problems that I see, and that is my responsibility as part of the divine. Thank you, Laura Shepard, for that beautiful statement. Amber says, faith for me currently is believing that love, compassion, kindness, and vulnerability will win and make the world a good place to live now. And Jazz puts it so beautifully, my job in this world is to listen to the love inside me and follow where it goes, clearing all branches from the stream as necessary. And so we long here in this space, in this faith community, to practice faith as this balanced, interconnected, interrelated expression of what we think about the world and what we do in the world, to redefine faith as the insight that transforms into action. So as we move through the rest of the series together, we'll hold it all loosely and with fluidity, of course, but our new working definition that we will call back to time and time again of faith will be this. Faith is the way we choose to see the world, which informs the way we choose to act in the world. Amen.
Yes, we can now have the ushers come forward.
Oh, God.
I got it.
I like that definition.
Me too.
I can get down with that.
I love the comments on Sunday mornings. I think it's one of my favorite things. Swinging from the hilarity all the way through to kind of the confessions and the deep thoughts that we have on there. So I live for those. So thank you guys for engaging. There's a lot of conversation on the thread about love being greater than fear and about us kind of getting into that. So this last song is really a celebration of that.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. 'Cause I'm no longer enslaved to 'cause I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name, and I've been born again to your family. Your blood flows through my veins, 'cause I'm no longer enslaved to fear. I am a child of God, 'cause I'm no longer enslaved to fear. I am a child of God. Sing that again. 'Cause I'm no longer enslaved to fear. I am a child of God. 'Cause I'm no longer enslaved to fear. I am a child of God.
I am surrounded by the arms of a father. I am surrounded by songs of deliverance. We've been liberated, oh, from our bondage. We are the children of belonging. Let us sing our freedom.
Oh, whoa, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescue me so I can stand and say, I am a child of God. You split the sea. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescue me so I could stand and say, I am a child of God. I am a child. I am a child of God. I am a child. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. 'Cause I'm no longer enslaved to fear. 'Cause I am a child of God. I'm no longer enslaved to fear. But I am a child of God.
You are no longer enslaved to fear. I just put on the screen down here in the corner our benediction, and this is what we say at the end of every Sojourn service. We've been saying it for 6 years now, and just because we're virtual doesn't mean we're going to stop saying it. However, I don't think that the whole thing fit. So the word, I think it just says right now, be brave because you are a child. Which is fine.
That works.
So, and then be kind because so is everyone else. And the call is to go into this week with bravery, because you are not enslaved to fear, as that song just said. You are a child of God. Nothing can change that. And then to have some kindness about us, because everyone is a loved child of God. So that's our benediction. And special thanks to Huck for joining us today. Thanks, bud. The people loved you. They sent you all sorts of thanks and heart emojis. Do you want to say anything back? Awesome. All right, who wants to lead us in our benediction today?
Be brave.
Because you are a child of God.
And be kind.
Because so is everyone else. We love you. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday. Exit music, exit music.